Hey, Lordy, look at the time.
Empowered.
Okay, so welcome back to another episode of the M-PWRD Podcast. Today I'm joined by Anna Waters. Anna, thank you for coming on. And I will pass it over to you to just tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, and then we'll get into it from there.
So, thank you for having us on.
No problem.
I am a personal trainer and online coach. I've just moved back from being away with my personal training, so now just getting set back up with my business in the Northeast.
Awesome. So you moved to Dubai to personal train, essentially. Tell me a little bit about the rationale behind moving out to Dubai.
Yeah, so Dubai, the place itself, was quite random.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to go away abroad somewhere sunny, but obviously, but I didn't really know where exactly I'd want to go. In the back of my mind, I would always think maybe Australia, somewhere like that, but I never put any plans in place. And then I found out about this job opportunity to work in a gym in Dubai. I just thought, may as well apply for it. If I don't get it, I don't get it. If I do, go with it. So I applied, went through the process, got that job. So I was like, okay, Dubai's the place that I'll go to then. So I just hopped on a plane to Dubai, really. And when I went, I didn't know how long I wanted to go for. It was more of I'll go and see how I feel when I'm out there. And if I'm not that keen, I can always come back.
Yeah.
And I did a year. And I just feel like a year was enough.
Enough to get the experience.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like I just got everything that I wanted out of it. And because Dubai was never a place that I was like, oh, I'd love to go to Dubai. I was very much like, yeah, I'm happy to come home now. I've done my time there. Time to go back.
Dubai's the sort of place that I could never imagine putting roots down. You know, I don't think it's the sort of place that you would go to and live and spend the rest of your life there. I don't know, it almost feels like the sort of place that it serves a purpose and you go there, but not the sort of place that you could imagine, you know, retiring.
Like having a family and stuff. Yeah, I know it's a weird one. It's full of expats and people are always coming and going. People seem to be staying there a lot longer now than what they used to. And I think it's because the lifestyle is just so comfy there and time goes so quick. Yeah. So, but it is hard to get settled there.
It's just like a rabbit wheel though, isn't it, in Dubai?
Yeah.
Like once you get there and you get on it and it's so fast paced and it's always moving and there's always new people coming in, it seems like there's a lot of opportunities. So in terms of, you know, making that decision, what was the actual process like of actually moving to a different country?
To move to Dubai was so easy. So easy. I was lucky because the company that I was working for, they sorted all the visa and everything out. So literally all I needed to do was pack my case and go. It's easy because there's so much information online. There's like a Brits in Dubai Facebook group, stuff like that. And because there's so many people in the same position as you, there's so much information out there. It's so easy to do. And it's good when you're over there because it's so easy to meet people because of that reason, because everyone's open to making new friends. Whereas if, for example, you came from living somewhere else in Newcastle, it might be a little bit harder to meet people.
People have got friendships that are already established and family there. Yeah. Whereas I guess that the only thing people really have there is their friends and people that they meet. So it's not always, you know, they don't always have those kind of family ties and those commitments that they might have to, kind of back in the UK. So in terms of working in the fitness industry, what differed from working in the fitness industry in the UK compared to Dubai?
So in the UK, I was working in a commercial gym. So then I went from a commercial gym to a private sort of setup in Dubai, which was really, really good. I liked that transition. I'd say the clients that I was working with in Dubai were the busiest people I've ever worked with. You are telling them to hit the step goals, but they also, like, their lifestyles were insane. Because a lot of people there are just like work. So then I feel like that was probably the biggest change in terms of clients. I mean, obviously people are busy here, but it's slightly different because in Dubai, a lot of people live there because they're always traveling with the job as well.
Right.
So then it was like working around them also traveling, like, oh, next week I'm going here, there and everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest change. And then you're no longer working with local people, you're working with people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Which is a really nice experience, and I feel like that's probably one of my favourite things, just getting to know more people and getting to experience training different types of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and getting a little bit of an insight into their culture as well, and kind of finding things out about them. So in terms of the kind of clientele that you had out there, what was the kind of, what sort of people was it that you were training? Was it, what sort of, because obviously in the UK, like you said, pretty much everyone's doing a similar sort of thing. People might be in different careers and stuff, but it's not very often that people will be traveling so much. So who were the sort of people that you were training?
So just people high up in like banking, for example,
right.
Pilots, things like that. But yeah, very, very busy, career-focused people. I mean, some of the women, to be honest, I'd look up to them because I'd be like, how are you doing this? I would work and I'm like, I'm shattered.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're also working out. You're in a deficit, which is hard at times, the best times. Getting your steps in, you're doing your cardio, you're also bringing up a family, and then you have this crazy high-pressure job. And I just used to think, how do you fit all of this in to your life?
Was it mainly women that you trained?
A mixture of both, but mainly women.
Yeah. Who do you prefer training?
Oh, this is a tough question.
Yeah.
I automatically want to say women, but then I've also had so many male clients that I'm like, oh, I love training them. So it is a tough one because I do enjoy
It's a different challenge, isn't it?
It is. I think that's why I like training both, because it does just make it a little bit different. It's not, obviously not every single woman's the same anyways, but it just makes it a little bit different,
Yeah, I definitely found it was more challenging training women for me, because obviously it was difficult for me to, from my own personal experiences, I didn't have many that I could lean on in terms of their experiences. So it was very much, I knew the science behind it and I knew what I'd seen and the experiences that I've had training lots of different women. So I had some sort of, general idea, but I didn't know what it felt like to train as a woman, whereas I knew what it felt like to train as a man. So I could, I had like personal experience. So when I'm training another guy, I've got a good understanding, even just body types and things like that, and like eating and different like variety of different things. So I definitely think it's a different challenge. So the reason I asked you the sort of people that you were training, I think one of the best things about the fitness industry and any service sort of industry is spending time with people who are in a different profession to you, who are doing different things. And I really think you can learn a lot from those people. Like you said there with the inspiring thing, was there any people or, obviously we don't have to go into specifics, but was there any people or jobs in particular that you felt when you were spending time with them, it was improving you and giving you an insight into what they did and some sort of things that you could take inspiration from or learn from those people?
I suppose it's like if you want to do something, you can do something. Because like I said, with how busy they were, still putting in the effort in. And obviously when you're in a deficit, like you can start to feel more tired, and then you're doing all this cardio, all the steps. It's like that's really tiring in itself. But then when you have such a high demanding job, you can't let things slip up. So then you would look at these people, you're like, wow, they really have their shit together. Yeah. It's like, you've got no excuse, you need to have your shit together. Yeah. So it's like, it was good to work with them and just to find out more about their work ethic, I suppose, and then just like have general conversation and just see how they value things. And it was good because they would also share their challenges with you. For example, the women about like, oh, I'm not getting to see the kids this weekend, or it's like I'm having to take the kids here, there and then there. And it's like, do you ever sit down? Do you ever get a chance to just breathe? It was insane. So I think it's just learning and just seeing their work ethic is just like, wow.
Yeah. And also some days it's 40 degrees, which also,
yeah,
it tires you out, definitely.
It does. And then, in summer, that was another reason why I thought, it's time to go now, because I was considering it. I just thought, okay, now it's about to be summer, and I'm such an outdoorsy person. You have to be indoors. You can't be outside. Like, more than a 5-minute walk, and you are sweating. Like, the heat is just unbearable. So, and that is so tiring. So I just thought, time to head back home. And then it's the going from hot to cold. You feel like you're just constantly looking for, right, where's the next place with AC? Because I just need to cool down. And it's like,
Would you go back, do you think?
Oh,
or do you feel like you've done it now?
This is a really tough question. I feel like because there's so many other places I want to go to, I'm like, why would I go back to Dubai? Because I feel like I've done it. But at the same time, like, Dubai is still so up and coming. There's always something new going on there. I think the biggest reason I'd go back would be just to see the friends that I made there, because I'm lucky I made such good friends there. Maybe I'd go and stop there if I was traveling somewhere else and just stop over in Dubai, but I can't see myself going there for like a long period.
See, maybe your situation is different to a lot of the friends that I have who work out there. So obviously, were you employed by so were you you weren't like there on a self-employed basis, so you were just basically kind of paid a salary for being there. So maybe that's changed your experience slightly of Dubai, because obviously the people that I know who are kind of self-employed personal trainers out there, obviously their earning potential is far greater than it is here. So, one of my friends, he's charging, anywhere between kind of 400 and 500 dirhams a session. So, on any given day, 500 dirhams now is like, what, £125? So on any given day, he can be making between kind of £1,200 and £1,500, which is probably better than most personal trainers in the UK make a week. So his issue is, how can he ever come home? Because he's now in this kind of cycle where his standard of living and his expectations for the amount of money that he should be making, and especially if you connect any sort of sense of self-worth to the amount of money that you make. Obviously, that's just a normal thing to do. Nobody really ever wants to go backwards in their earnings. It's not like anybody wants to go from earning £1,500 a day to £1,500 a week. It would that would take some getting used to and some adjusting to. So for those people, they're in like this kind of difficult position where there's nowhere to go for them. They're in Dubai, they're making the most they could be making. What were your experiences of the kind of earning potential versus the cost of living and stuff out there?
This is what you just said. I think that's why so many people just get sucked into living there, because it is a comfy lifestyle. You can get anything at the click of your fingers. Like if you think, I've not got my shopping in, you can get your full weekly shop in an hour's time.
Brought up to your house, brought up to the room as well.
Yeah. It's insane. Everything is just so quick. You don't even have to put petrol in your car. And the earning potential, obviously there's no tax. It is expensive to live there, but if you're self-employed or you're going down that sort of route, the earning potential definitely outweighs the cost of living there. And I saw that and I considered it going self-employed, but Dubai just wasn't for me. I'm very I'll make decisions based on feelings. And I was like, okay, this isn't my place. I'm over, I love nature. If you're a nature lover, Dubai is not
it's just a big
for
desert,
you.
isn't it, really?
Exactly. It's all just, it's a concrete jungle. I mean, it's amazing. But I was just like, there is, and so many people said that. People that didn't know it said, why are you going home? The potential to earn so much money here is insane. Like, you could smash it. I'm like, but it's not just about the money that you can make there. You
didn't want to take that step into the kind of trap of, you're not going to enjoy it here, but you're then going to feel stuck because you can make so much money. And I do, I've spoken to people about it, and I understand how the economics work, and everyone's like, but it's way more expensive. So in terms of people wanting to go out to Dubai, is there anything that they should, do you have any sort of insight into, just how much things cost and stuff like that? Because I think that's probably, as a personal trainer, there's a lot of things that people would probably be thinking about if they wanted to go to Dubai. Is there anything can you give anybody any context on?
The biggest thing is just join the Facebook groups.
Right.
If you're going out there, maybe start off with a shared apartment, things like that. And it's so easy to find people to live with. There's apps like, for example, before I moved over, I just went on Dubizzle and I managed to find an apartment, and I was just sharing with random people. But it's just to get yourself set up, and then you can explore Dubai, decide where it is that you want to live before you then put down a year's rent on somewhere. Yeah, so that's something that people probably don't realise, that, in the UK, there's the option to pay monthly direct debits for rent, whereas in Dubai, it's checks, right? So you can pay for 1 year, which is cheaper, or 2 checks, which is 1 6-month intervals, 4 checks quarterly. Yeah. I think that's something that people probably don't, because that's so alien to people living in England. Was that something that was surprised you? Yeah, and it was a tough one, because when I eventually moved into my own apartment, trying to find somewhere that I didn't have to put down a year's rent on was quite difficult. There is options to pay monthly, but it does end up being a little bit more expensive.
It jumps right up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the prices of apartments have totally shot up at the minute. It's really quite expensive.
Yeah, apparently the landlords don't really like people paying monthly as well.
No, they don't. And landlords tend to chuck people out after the year's contract, because they know they can only increase someone's rent by a certain amount. So it's easier for them to chuck someone out and get someone else in and just shoot the price up.
Right.
That happened to a couple of people that I know out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a very kind of cutthroat place, isn't it, in terms of...
Yeah.
I know from my experiences of kind of teaching the personal training course in the gyms there, things that you just wouldn't see in England, like personal trainers literally approaching other people's clients and saying, why are you training with that person? You should train with me. Especially kind of like personal trainers who'd come from... It wasn't, obviously, like British personal trainers weren't really doing that, because obviously it's not something that you'd experience here. But I know a lot of the kind of... there was a lot of guys like personal training from those kind of southern European countries, so like Slovakia, Slovenia, Romania, and they would literally just clear as day, just go up to someone and be like, oh, I know that you're training with this person, do you want to come train with me? I'll do it cheaper. That's wild. Yeah,
see, I didn't see or experience any of that side of things.
Yeah.
But you do notice the difference in people's work ethics.
Yeah.
From different places. I think it's because to come back to England is so easy to do, and it's still a comfy move.
Yeah.
Whereas some people, they don't want to go back to their home country because they do have it so much better. The earning potential is even more. Yeah,
so it's like probably UK compared to Dubai is probably like a 5x earning potential on if the average personal trainer earns $2,000 in the UK a month, they probably earn 8 in Dubai, or 8 to 10. Whereas in some countries, it might be 20x the earning potential, which obviously makes a huge difference. I think, like you said there, it is so easy to kind of come back to the UK, isn't it? And you can just kind of fit right back in.
It is. And then, for example, if I wanted to move back out, it would be super easy for me to get a visa. And the way we are quite privileged being from the UK, because I know some people from the Philippines, they are wanting to go back home, but then they're like, if I go back home, it's going to be really hard if I change my mind to then get a visa to come back out again. Yeah, so it's like they have that can also keep you stuck there. Whereas for us, it's very, very easy. If you just decide to go back out there again, you could do it.
Yeah. So what's the process for someone then, if they're wanting to kind of move out to Dubai? Would you say it's quite straightforward to apply for a gym job? Where did you go to, and what were the gyms that you went to, and how did that work?
So because I was working in a private gym, and they're based all over the world, so I was doing Teams interviews with that gym, and they've also got a gym down in Manchester, so I just went to Manchester for my interview. So that was super easy to do. And then, I would maybe say if you're looking to move over, unless you've already got a really big online client base, if you're moving over and starting from scratch, then I'd recommend going through a company. So then, and there's quite a few different companies you could go through, so easy to find as well, that would just help get you set up there, really.
Yeah, so it's not too difficult, you'd say then.
No,
not at
all.
And do you think that's a good idea to kind of go over there with a job so that they sort your visa, and then would you have said it would have been quite easy for you to transfer over to self-employed once you'd been out there for a bit?
I'd say so, yeah. Once you've made and built connections with your clients, and then there is so many personal trainers out there, but there is so many people who need personal trainers as well. And I think there's a good niche for females.
Right.
Because there's some female-only gyms, and some people, for religious reasons, can only train with a female. So I think if you take advantage of that, you can really do well over there. Yeah,
definitely. So in terms of going over there and kind of building your connections, did you feel like what was the best way to actually network and stuff over there? What did you find that was most successful for building client relations and just meeting people?
So because I never had to get my own clients, I was really lucky. The gyms I worked for, they supplied you with clients.
Right.
So I didn't have to do any of that going out there and networking.
Okay.
But I mean, because everyone knows everyone, it's very easy to get referrals from friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it would be hard to build a business there at all.
I guess as well, you're saying there that there's a lot of people who want a personal trainer. I guess because there's so much good opportunity financially out there. There's a lot of people with disposable income who can afford a personal trainer. So even though there's a lot of personal trainers, there's far more people who are in the market to be able to afford, because personal training is a luxury.
It is. Yeah.
So would you just say that because there's so much wealth there, that there's just so much more need for personal trainers? Yeah.
So people have that money, they don't really think twice about spending it, and people now know that you need a personal trainer, knowing a lot more now than what you used to, and I think it's a lot more common now to have a personal trainer. And I mean, some people, not everyone, but some people would have gyms in the house, so it could be so convenient for them just to hire a freelancer to come to the house, do the session. And how much easier is that? You don't have I've got to drive to the gym and do this and do that. It cuts out all of that, and it's just so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that makes total sense. And you're just saying there about everybody realising that they need a personal trainer. So do you think there's been a massive shift in terms of people realising that, it is better to get a coach than try and go at your own? What have you noticed around that?
I think so. I feel like having a personal you'll hear a lot more people saying, oh yeah, I've got a PT. So much more now than you ever used to hear.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I feel like people are now starting to see the value of having a personal trainer compared to just going and doing a circuits class or a random bodyweight boot camp, and now starting to see that's not actually what my body needs, or if I want to look a certain way, doing those classes isn't going to get me there. I feel like
I definitely think with the people that you discussed that you were training there, it's outsourcing that responsibility. So personal training at its core and broken down to its elements is outsourcing motivation, the knowledge around training, and the discipline. So rather than having to, do all of those things and figure all those things out for yourself, you say, okay, I'm a pilot or work in a bank, or I'm extremely busy and traveling. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to focus on that and my family or whatever responsibilities I have. And you're going to focus on my health, fitness, and overall body composition goals. Go. And I'll come in and I'll do what you tell me to. And there's no thinking, there's no thought process from me. I tell you what I want to achieve. You figure it out, and I'll do what you tell me to. Do you feel like that's really what you noticed in those people?
Yeah, and these people, the high achievers. So if you tell because of the position that they're in. They are absolute high achievers. They've like excelled in everything that they've ever done. And sometimes fitness is that thing that they've neglected and they don't know. So if you tell someone you need to do this, this and this, they're like, and you have to check off these boxes, that's what's going to, if you do that, that's what's going to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So they're like, right, let's go. I know now that I need to do this, this and this. And then they also know if they don't do that, they can't complain.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, they only have, you know, a certain amount of bandwidth when it comes to their priorities and what they're going to focus on. And like you said there, often that can get left by the roadside, the actual looking after their physical fitness when they're juggling other responsibilities and trying to dominate their chosen field. So obviously back from Dubai now, transitioned in to being back in the cold and the rain. What's next for you in terms of where do you see the journey going with fitness and personal training?
I feel like I've been quite lucky with the weather since moving back. Maybe it's not today.
It's going downhill now. July's always rainy. June's okay. July and August aren't as good as you think they're going to be.
I know. I moved back, I was like, this is amazing. And now I'm like, oh. But yeah, it's more just expanding my online coaching more. And also now I'm doing face-to-face again, which I'm really excited about. So
do you enjoy doing the face-to-face stuff?
I love it. Yeah. I love both online and face-to-face. Quite a lot of my online clients or are past clients that I've had face-to-face, which I find really helpful.
Okay, that makes sense. Rather than lose them if they move away or if they no longer require that in-depth one-to-one training, they might have built the foundations to be able to do things. You can retain them on a more suitable price point for the amount of time.
Yeah, definitely. I just feel like the connection you get with people, working with them face-to-face, is just next level. And especially for people who are so busy, or just for anyone, just having someone asking them these questions like, how's your day been? How did you sleep? They don't get asked that by anybody else. Yeah. And I just think that's how you make such good connections with your clients, because they're getting asked these questions. You genuinely like care about them that they don't get asked by anyone else.
Yeah. I think as well, it's becoming more of a premium service because, you know, I always talk about the analogy of back in the day, you would get loads of mail and you would very rarely get any emails. So getting an email, you'd be more likely to open it because, you know, when I first set up my email account, I think I've had my email account for close to 20 years now. That's because I got it when I was quite young. But, you know, few and far between. You could open your email inbox and there'd be no emails in there. Now, because I've had that email for so long and I use it for kind of as my default for being able to get into Wi-Fi's and, you know, it's the one that I put in when they ask for an email because I don't really get any important stuff sent there. You know, some days it's 250 emails.
Yeah.
And now I don't get letters as much through the door because everything's kind of online. So I'm going to open every letter that comes to me. And it's like that complete switch in mindset between, you know, digital assets being more valued than physical assets because it's rare. You know, back in the day, having a website would have set you apart from everybody.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, having a good online digital presence would have been the most important thing. Now, if you've got some cool business cards that you're handing out, that might stick in people's minds more because everything's so digitalized now that actually in-person things can have a bit of a, you know, they're tangible and people can feel them. And you know, a lot of companies, when they're trying to make an impression, they'll send something physical out because everything seems to be digital at the moment. And I think that that's the kind of direction that fitness could be going in, to the point where everything's kind of going online now and being digitalized, but actually being able to speak to a real person, being able to like communicate with someone, the value of that's going up, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. And then, because there was this whole chat GPT, it's going to take over online coaches, but as long as you're doing check-ins and building in connections with those clients, no computer system can take that over because it just provides a total different element. It's just, next level.
Don't get me wrong, I think a lot of things are going to be automated by AI, like a hell of a lot of those like processes. I think the key is to not get caught in no man's land, whereby you're providing a replicable online service whereby you're just kind of sending things out and doing, check-ins with people, over time, those sort of things are going to be replaced by AI because the machine learning algorithms are so good. I mean, I've got Duolingo on my phone and that's now got AI, so you can ask it questions and it responds to you. If your product and service was just providing answers to questions, then that's going to get replaced. Providing plans to people, that's going to get replaced.
Yeah.
It's going to get replaced, but the people who are doing it are still going to be profitable from it. So like if you go through an online coach, it's more for the clients than, because AI has to be used by somebody. So it's more the clients are going to get their service and they're going to believe that they're speaking to their coach, but it's going to be automated and they're going to pay more to know that they're speaking to a real person.
Yeah.
They're going to pay more to see a real person.
Yeah.
Like already, like a lot of things are going online, doctor's appointments, people are going to want to go and actually physically in person see someone because they feel like they're getting care and attention.
Exactly. And then what you're going to follow, if a computer's asking you questions about have you stuck to your macros or whatever, you can just ignore it. But if you're face to face with someone and they're asking you this, it keeps you accountable 10 times more.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, your PT's going to be asking you these questions. Whereas a computer, a little notification or whatever it is, you're just like, whatever. It's just another notification. You're already getting bombarded with everything else.
It reduces that accountability thing.
It
so
is.
like outsourcing that accountability, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts recently and they're, I was listening to a podcast with Dave Goggins not so long ago and he was talking about how discipline is better than motivation. And obviously motivation's a fleeting emotion that comes and goes, and discipline's something that you can build. And he was saying that, neither of those things are that important if you don't have, your mental state correct. I believe more important than discipline and more useful is accountability.
Yeah.
I can be undisciplined, and unmotivated. But if I know my friends meeting me at the gym at 6:30 in the morning, I'm going to be there. Maybe at 6:35, but I'm going to be there because I don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
So it's, because I know that they're going to be there and that they've got an expectation that I'm going to be there and there's more than just me, I'm more likely to do it. So I think the same with a coach. If you book a session in, you're going to be there.
Yeah.
Unless something really bad happens, because otherwise you feel like you're letting them down.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with that. And you get clients and they'll come in for the first consultation and the first session and they're so motivated, they're like, ready to go. And they don't know that their motivation will just drop. So there's always a conversation that needs to be had with them there. And motivation's just an emotion. You can't expect yourself to be happy 100% of the day. It's like what you said, it comes in waves. So happiness is just like a wave. It peaks and it dips. That's exactly what your motivation's going to do. So you can't rely on being motivated 100% of the time because it's just such an unrealistic expectation to have of yourself.
Yeah.
So then to have that awareness and to know that that's okay to feel like that, but then to also have that accountability from somewhere else, that's what's going to keep you going. You can't rely on just motivation by itself.
Yeah. Just talking about the AI thing, how do you see AI, have you gave any thought to how it might affect the fitness industry? Obviously, you are in the fitness industry. AI is here. I know that people are like, it's definitely here. I mean, a lot more things than people think are AI already.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that, I've seen some things recently about people think things are years and years away when they're actually already happening, just
it's
in like
true.
but just not in the way that people assumed. Like, I remember when people were younger, they were like, oh, robots are going to take people's jobs. And everyone was like, no, they're not. They already have.
Yeah.
Like, self-service in Asda is a robot taking somebody's job. It's just not a human-looking robot,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's not like an iRobot sort of thing walking around like putting groceries in your bag or anything. It's a machine which has took a job that used to be somebody's job. And I think that, you know, it's here more than people realize. I mean, I've seen, slightly off topic, but, you know, the fitness industry is a service. I guess you class this as a service as well. There's now, do you know how people have like OnlyFans and people can message them, and basically the main thing that they're paying for is the person messaging backwards and forwards. So it's like, you know, you're essentially kind of paying for a girlfriend or a boyfriend, depending on who it is. Now people are like using those AI chatbots to respond.
Really?
So, well, if you think, if someone's got like, you know, 100,000